Please accept our humble obeisances on behalf of everybody who have joined the group and will be joining the group later on. We have Rath Yatras everywhere. We have a Rath Yatra here in Mombasa, so all the Eldoret devotees have gone there. But nevertheless, we can continue and they'll catch up online. So thank you for availing yourself and giving us your precious Saturday evening. We are reading the Srimad Bhagavatam. We are on Canto 3, Chapter 5. Chapter 5 is Vidura's talk with Maitreya, and we are on text 7 today. Mataji, would you like us to do the Manglacharan?
Yes, please, Mataji. Thank you very much.
So I'll do the Manglacharan. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshururmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishaka Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Shabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Mataji, that was the Manglacharan, and now I'm handing over to you. We are reading Canto 3, Chapter 5, Text 7 for today.
Thank you very much, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to do the service to Srimad Bhagavatam and to all of you. I do apologize in advance. It is going to be, I wasn't able to prepare much today, and it has been quite a last minute thing. So I encourage you all to please contribute and please do correct me if I'm going wrong anywhere. So thank you very much, Mataji. Again, I start our discussion today by paying my obeisances to my Gurudev. Without his mercy, I wouldn't have been able to do this service at all. And my obeisances and prayers to all the Jagat Gurus, Radharani and Krishna and Gauranitai, to be with me and allow me to say all the things that they want me to say, because I don't have the ability to say anything. Hare Krishna. So as Mataji, as you've said, we are reading from Canto 3, Chapter 5 and verse number 7. I read the translation. I'll read the verse. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Kritan Vidyate Dvijago Suranam Shemaya Karmani Avatara Bhede Manona Trapyati Api Srinavatam Na Shushloka Molishcharitam Vritani. Translation by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. You may narrate also about the auspicious characteristics of the Lord in his different incarnations for the welfare of the twice born, the cows, and the demigods. Our minds are never satisfied completely, although we continuously hear of his transcendental activities. Now, we've got quite a long purport over here in this verse. So whereas on the other days, we read the purport and then we start with our discussion. I thought because it's quite a big purport today, I'll just, whilst discussing, I'll cover the points covered in the purport as well, if that is okay with all of you. But as I said, Mataji and Prabhuji, please do correct me if I am going wrong anywhere. So in this chapter, we see Vidura is talking to Maitri. So we've gone through, the previous canto where Vidura was talking to Uddhava, and Uddhava directed Vidura to go to Maitri, who was also present at the time that when Krishna was giving the knowledge to Uddhava, the knowledge of Uddhava Gita to Uddhava, and Uddhava asked, whilst he went away to Bhadrakashram, he encouraged Vidura to go and speak to Maitri Muni, a great devotee himself, who will be able to give him answers to his queries and inquiries. So Vidura, we see, is talking to Maitri Muni now, and he has previously, in the first 6 verses, he has started to ask things to Maitri Muni, asking for clarifications and requesting him to say a bit more about various things that he would want to know about. And in this verse, Vidura is he's telling Maitri Muni that our minds, that they are never really satisfied completely. Although we continuously hear of the transcendental activities of the Lord. I mean, that we hear that so many times, and that is what pure devotees are. They are always they're eager to hear about Krishna and discuss about Krishna. So when 2 great devotees in Maitri Muni and Vidura are present together, they discuss the pastimes of the Lord, and Vidura is asking Maitri Muni to tell him more and more about the pastimes, the various avatars, and in the verse we hear about the twice born. Why does the Lord come? Why does he incarnate? What is the purpose of his avatars? There's mention about the greatness of the cows. There's mention about the greatness of the gurus. So all in these 3 sentences in this verse. And so that's all, Vidura is constant. He's so eager to know so much about the Lord. Now we understand that both Vidura and Maitri Muni, they're both great devotees, and none of the things that they will be discussing, none of that will be completely new to them. However, they would relish discussing them again. And that is something which we will touch upon a bit later on. The very sweetness of hearing about the pastimes of the Lord, and how it actually accentuates, how it actually increases our enjoyment of Krishna, and and satisfies our heart. And this 2 meeting of the devotees and discussing the Lord pastimes, we have seen examples of this throughout the Shastras on many, many occasions. I mean, even the Lord himself, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he used to listen to Srimad Bhagavatam from Gadadhar Pandit, and Gadadhar Pandit used to recite Srimad Bhagavatam to him night after night after night. And every time they would come to Canto 7, Mahaprabhu would tell Gadadhar Pandit, read this, please read this again, read this again, read this again. So Srila Prabhupada, he mentioned that reading about Prahlad Maharaja and reading about Dhruva Maharaja, these two pastimes were his favorites. But reading about Prahlad Maharaj in Canto 7, that was Mahaprabhu's favorite as well. And he would urge Gadadhar Pandit to repeat it over and over again, the 7th canto. And so just by hearing, we can develop the love for Krishna. If the love is already there, it increases tenfold, hundredfold, thousandfold, million and zillionfold. It just increases. If there is no love, then there is, just by hearing, one can develop the love for Krishna. And so that is why we see great devotees are so eager to hear about Krishna. Of the Navada Bhakti, the first one is Shravanam, and then comes Kirtanam, and the others ending with Atmanivedanam. But excuse me, hay fever. It's the weather. Blame the weather in London again. So one can increase. So just hearing about Krishna, we improve the love for Krishna, and we see the great example whereas Mahaprabhu and Gadadhar Pandit, they were great devotees themselves. Mahaprabhu is the Lord himself, in the form, playing the role of a devotee. But we see in Mother Rukmini, she didn't even know Krishna. She didn't even see Krishna, but she heard about Krishna from the Brahmanas, and she heard and she fell so much in love with Krishna just by hearing about Krishna, because Krishna is the all-attractive. We have to remember that. He is the all-attractive. Just by hearing about Krishna, Mother Rukmini fell so much in love with him that she wanted to marry him. And so hearing is very, very important. So we are not surprised that Vidura is wanting to hear about Krishna again from Maitri Muni, despite knowing everything, despite meeting Krishna as well. Kunti, Mother Kunti, she says to her prayers to Krishna that, oh Krishna, you come to protect the cows, to protect the brahmanas, to kill the demons, but a person whose consciousness is in the higher level, they actually develop the ear to hear about your pastimes. And by hearing about this, they get the charm, they feel the charm that the rasas, when there are pastimes, there is exchange of emotions, exchange of various activities between the Lord and his devotees. And the rasa that comes out of it, whichever rasa, it may be one of the 5 main rasa of, or the Shanta rasa is there already, but one of the 4 main rasas of Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, Madhurya, or it could be one of the 7 secondary rasas, or Avir rasa, Adbhuta rasa, Hasya rasa. We see with the demons, Krishna enjoys different rasas. And so someone who is already steeped and, engaged in Krishna consciousness, covered, full of Krishna consciousness, such a person, such devotees, when they actually hear more and more of these pastimes of Krishna, or they do hear about Krishna Katha, they just engulf, or they just wrap themselves more and more and more in these rasas, and they really enjoy the sweetness of this rasa. And the rishis, and the same thing happened. We are reading Srimad Bhagavatam. We see the rishis in Naimisharanya. They requested Suta Goswami to tell them more and more about the Lord's pastimes. Now, these are great rishis. They've been, praying for thousands of years just to deliver the jivas of Kali Yuga. They know about the Lord, and yet they wanted to hear more and more from Suta Goswami. And so, if we hear about Krishna regularly, then automatically, why is it so important? Why does Navada Bhakti first talk about Shravanam? Because when we hear constantly about Krishna, that the Lord inside us, the Paramatma inside us, it could be Paramatma. Sometimes it's real, the Paramatma is replaced by Bhagavan. Bhagavan, for a true devotee, Bhagavan himself resides there in our heart. And the Lord himself, he manifests, he reveals from within. And so, for a pure devotee, we understand why Vidura is asking so many things to Maitreya, and why Maitreya Muni will be talking about all of that, because both of them, by discussing Krishna again, they will relish that rasa. And relishing this rasa is natural for a jiva, because without rasa, the self, the soul, the self cannot live for even one moment. In this material life, there is no rasa. What we see is just a perverted form. In chapter 15 of the Bhagavad Gita, we see how Krishna talks about the inverted banyan tree. Everything, every emotion, everything we see, it's in a perverted form. There is really no true rasa. There is no love, there is lust. And so although despite the fact that this is, as Krishna again said, this is the kalayam ashwasvatam, this is temporary, this is a temporary world full of misery, but still the jivas, we all tend to think that this is such a wonderful place to live in. And so that rasa, that enjoyment of that pure rasa, we forget Krishna, we forget to enjoy that rasa. So wherever there is the opportunity to hear about Krishna and rekindle that love for Krishna that we have forgotten, we must just grab it. And Vidura's grabbed it. And Maitreya Muni has grabbed it as well, because he gets a chance to talk about it. Remember, what is the second statement, or the second point in Navada Bhakti? Kirtanam. You shravan and then you kirtan. So hearing is important, but talking about the Lord, glorifying the Lord, is equally relishing, equally important, equally part of bhakti. And so it satisfies our soul. And then what happens? The soul, as more and more Krishna bhakti increases, the soul really never hankers after other tastes of this material world. As Prabhupada has written in his book, the souls get the higher taste. And when you get the higher taste, which is the original constitutional position of the soul, Jiver Swarupai Krishna Nityadas. That is the constitutional position. Our constitutional position is to serve the Lord. And the more and more we remember that, we tend to forget. We don't need to go to the Himalayas to leave all the things of this world. Remaining in this world, remaining in society, by attaching ourselves to Krishna, we detach ourselves from the material things. And it's an organic process. It's not a forced process. It's not saying that you have to give up this thing. Only then can you go to Krishna. No. By attaching to Krishna, we automatically give up all the things that belong to the lower taste. And so that is what the pastimes of Krishna does to us. So how can we really develop this taste for hearing? In Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, you will remember, we've actually gone through this before. Canto 1, Chapter 2, verse 16. And I'll read only the English translation. it is being said to the twice-born sages. We'll come to who the twice-born sages are. That by serving devotees who are completely free from vice, great service is done. And by such service, one gains affinity for hearing the messages of Vasudeva. So how can we develop this this taste for hearing? By serving great devotees. That's one of the ways, one of the main ways of getting getting attached to Krishna. And so sadhu sangha sadhu is so important. Association is so very important, because that 1 second lava matra sadhu sangha, that can give you, that can change the lifetime. And Sridhar Swami, in his commentary, mentioned that one should always hear about Krishna, talk about Krishna, hear about Krishna, think about Krishna, thinking about Krishna in everything, always. And it reminds me of a pastime of the great devotee Namdev. Again, Namdev, he was a poor man, and he was making his roti at home one day. And he didn't have anything to, he just had a, doing his roti on what that mud oven that one used to put, you see, in the olden days, used to see that. And then just as he was about to, just as he took the roti out from the oven and put that on a plate, a dog came and picked up the roti and then just started running away. And that was the only little bit of atta or wheat that Namdev had got from the people he actually went out to get alms from, because devotees, they don't, they used to go from house to house, and whatever they would get, they would just come home, give the bhoga to offer the bhoga to the Lord, and then accept that as prasad. And on that day, Ramdev only got a little bit of weeds to make that one single roti. And just as he put that aside, a dog came and picked it up and started running. What did Ramdev do? Did he pick up a stone and throw it towards the dog and say, what are you just running away with the only thing I could offer bhoga to the Lord? No, he didn't do that. What did he do? He started running after the dog and saying, and he started calling the dog. How? Oh, Vittal, oh, Vittal. Because Namdev was a great devotee of Vittal. He said, oh, Vittal, you've taken the roti, but give me, I've got a little bit of ghee. At least let me put some ghee on that roti, then have it. Don't go away with that only, that dry roti. And then so what, he saw Vittal even in that dog who ran away with that roti. So that's who true devotees are, Uttamadhikari. They see Krishna everywhere, in everything. All they think about is Krishna. And of course, that dog was Vittal himself. He was just testing Namdev. And so, the dog turned into Vittal and gave him darshan. I think I talked about Namdev a bit one of the other days as well. He used to talk to Vittal all the time, and Vittal gave him darshan. But this is what, what true devotees are. And we see over here both Vidura and Maitreya Muni, they had both seen Krishna. It's impossible to forget Krishna. It's impossible to not talk about Krishna. It's only natural that both of them wanted to talk about Krishna. And how did they do that? They found, I wouldn't say they found the way of doing it by one of them asking the questions, asking more about Krishna, and the other answering it. So this is one of the points that is touched upon in the verse, the importance of hearing that Maitri was asking. Vidura was asking Maitri about Krishna and about Krishna. Now, the second thing that, the other thing that is drawn, our attention is drawn to is that a human being is inclined to hear good narrations and stories. And therefore, there are many books, many magazines, many newspapers we find in the market to satisfy the interests and, of a soul. We find that, all the time, new TV programs, new radio programs, new stories, all of that, more and more. But the pleasure, Prabhupada writes in the Prabhupada, that the pleasure in such literature is very, very temporary because it's material. It has to be temporary. There is no permanence in the pleasure. And what happens after a while, you can read a book once, twice, 4, 5 times. And after a while, you wouldn't want to read that same book again. You would want to read a new book. A newspaper, the news that appears in newspapers, it becomes stale within minutes nowadays. Every day, every second, there's a new news coming up. In this digital age, the more so. And so, whether it's literature, whether it's newspaper, music, there is a time limit to it. There is a beginning, there is a start, and there is an end. That's material world. There is a start, there is an end. Okay, we may not know when the first start was. That was Krishna's time, but we know that, we are told in Srimad Bhagavatam, we are told about Lord Brahma's days, each kalpa, where there is a beginning, then there is, when Lord Brahma's night comes, that's the end of the kalpa, that's the mini annihilation, mini destruction, and then after the whole of Lord Brahma's tenure of 100 years, there's the total pralay, total destruction. So there is always a start and an end. When we say anything that we say in this material world, it only makes sense when we say that in reference to time. Whether it's our own age, whether it's how long we are doing a job, whether it's, when did we go to watch a movie, at what time, when did we read, when are we going to read something? Everything is based on past, present, or future, start time and end time. Whereas in the spiritual world, it's eternal. There is time. Time is there because the Lord says, I am Kala. The Lord is Kala. The Lord is time. So in the spiritual world, there is time as well. But the time in the spiritual world is eternal. There is no start and end to that time. Whereas in the material world, there is start and end. And so Prabhupada is saying that when we, human beings in this material world, we want to hear about stories. It's natural. But when we hear about material stories, they become really, really outdated very soon. However, the beauty of the transcendental literatures like Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, or any other book, any Shastra, is that they never become old. I mean, they never, we were just talking about how Mahaprabhu loved listening to Srimad Bhagavatam every single day. We hear about, every single year, in every occasion, every festival that we have, we hear about the same pastimes. Whether it's Radhashtami, we hear about pastimes of Radharani and Krishna. Balaram Jayanti, we hear about Lord Balaram. We hear about the Damodar Leela over and over again. We hear about the Narsimhadev and Prahlad Maharaj Hiranyakashipu pastime. We hear about the Varadev. We hear about the Dasha avatars. We hear about all the pastimes. Just how many pastimes do we hear about? And yet, every single time we hear about them, we relish more. There's a new realization. Every single time we enjoy, the heart just wants to hear more. And we look forward to the next year when we can hear the same thing again. We don't tire of that. And it comes back to the very basic thing that has been given to us in this Kali Yuga, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. I mean, we think about our favorite thing, the favorite item that we want to eat. Just how many times, the favorite person to us, the most favorite person to us, the person we love the most. How many times can we say the name of that person without getting tired? But with the Hare Krishna mantra, the more we do that, the more realization we get, the more joy one gets from it. Because spiritualism, or these transcendental words, transcendental pastimes, anything related to the Lord, they are not static. They are dynamic. They are always evolving, always giving us more and more pleasure. There is never an end. The Lord is unlimited. And so the pleasure that we find from hearing about the Lord, talking about the Lord, listening about the Lord, that is unlimited as well. So there can never, ever be a time when we will ever get tired of hearing the same pastime of the Lord again. Every single time you read the Bhagavad Gita, you may say just the first verse, Dharma Kshetra Kurukshetra, Samaveta Yuyutsava. How many meanings can you make out of that word? And yet, the very first time you read it, it's just, apparently it looks like a simple verse. The more you read that, the more meanings come out of it. Every single syllable of that verse can have, several meanings to it. And so, like Krishna, anything attached to him is unlimited. They can never become old, as Prabhupada says in the Bhagavad. So they have been, the Srimad Bhagavatam has been read by civilized man for the last 5,000 years. And still we are reading it today. And it's not old. They are ever fresh. They're ever fresh to scholars, and they're ever fresh to devotees, and they're also ever fresh to very new devotees, people who are just getting into Krishna consciousness. So whether someone is an elevated devotee or someone is very, very new, doesn't matter. These words are ever ever full of charm, always giving us happiness. And so in the Bhagavad, it says that Vidura might have heard the pastimes of the Lord many, many times before he met Maitreya, but he still wanted the same narrations to be repeated. Why? Because he was never satiated by hearing them. And that is the transcendental nature of the Lord's glorious pastimes. You are never, it's never saturated. It's never, one is never satiated by that pastime. So that was the second thing that the verse touched upon. The next thing that the verse touched upon was mentioning about the fact that the Lord is directly concerned with the twice born or civilized men. Now, what do we understand by a twice born? And, you may know this already, so apologies if I'm just repeating this. But it's interesting, what I found really interesting in this verse that Prabhupada in the purport, he's mentioned the word civilized men as well, not just twice born, but civilized. And he says that a civilized man is one who has taken his birth twice. So he names the people who have taken birth twice as civilized. And so what does he mean by such twice born men? So he says that, you know, a living entity, they take birth, a jiva, they take birth in this material world because there's a male and a female and they unite. You know, we know of the natural way that a baby is conceived out of the union of a man and a woman. And so a human being is born to a mother and a father. However, the twice born or the civilized human being does not take birth from a mother and a father, but he actually gets another birth by contact with a spiritual master. So a twice born is a person who gets a new birth after being initiated from a bona fide guru. Not by any guru, not by the gurus who claim themselves to be, you know, God themselves. No, but a bona fide guru. And a bona fide spiritual master is a representative of the Lord. Just Thursday, a couple of days ago, we had Guru Purnima. And, you know, so the more a good thing to meditate on just how important the Guru is in our lives. We start our Srimad Bhagavatam sessions every single day with Om Jnana Timirandhyasa, remove that darkness from us. So that is what the Guru does. We are born into this material world, which is full of Maya, full of ignorance, full of darkness. And so when we take initiation, that is when we are born again, because the Guru takes away that darkness from us and gives us a new birth, opens our eyes to the opportunities of attaching us to Krishna and elevating ourselves from this entanglement of Maya and going towards Krishna and the spiritual. And so that is why over here, I mean, you know, although the verse talks about Vidura and Maitri just wanting to hear about Krishna, it is also emphasized over here that Vidura is actually Vidura has given the position of a guru to Maitreya, because hearing from any person about Krishna is not right, because one might have one's own interpretation. And that is the reason you see the Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada has written as it is. It is as Krishna has dictated to him, as Krishna meant, not one's own interpretations. And so it's very, very important that one hears about Krishna from a bona fide person, someone who's a true representative of the Lord and who can give the message of the Lord as it is, not as they want. Because the disciple needs to be taken towards the ultimate goal of life, which is to, you know, transcend this material world, go back to Godhead, achieve that Krishna prema bhava, and go back to Godhead, and not be stuck in this prison of a material world. So Prabhupada is saying that a civilized man is twice born. Otherwise, he is no more than lower animals. Because an animal eats, sleeps, mates, and defends. And if getting the very rare birth of a human birth, if one is just doing eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, he is nothing but a lower animal. And so a man needs, or a jiva, a man or a woman, they need to be twice born. They need to come across, get someone, or come under the shelter of someone who will be able to give them birth and introduce them to Krishna consciousness. And we see the Lord himself emphasize that so much, because otherwise, why would Mahaprabhu who came, he goes to Gaya to do the last rites of his father who just passed away. He goes to Gaya and he meets Ishvara Puri, and he obviously he's the Lord, so he knew Ishwarapuri would be there. He knew who Ishwarapuri was, the disciple of Madhavendra Puri, and so he wanted him, Ishwarapuri, as his guru, and he wanted to be initiated by a true guru, because Mahaprabhu knew that he had to give a message to the whole world. He was in Grihastha for the first 24 years of his life, but the next 24 years of his life, he had a very, very important message to give. And to give that, he needed to be initiated. Otherwise, people would not take him seriously. And he needed that guru. And he wanted to teach others to how important a guru is. And so we see in the pastimes of Mahaprabhu how after returning from Gaya, he was chanting the names of Hare Krishna all the time. People thought that he had turned mad. Some of the neighbors of Sachi Mata, Mahaprabhu's mother, some of the neighbors said, take him to a good doctor. Take him there, or maybe there's some spirit has overtaken him. Just do some puja. And then Srivas Thakur, who's a great devotee, an incarnation of Narad Muni, he saw Mahaprabhu, and Sachimata said, you know what, I think my son, I think he's ill. Srivas Thakur saw Mahaprabhu chanting madly the names of the Lord, Hare Krishna, and Srivas Thakur said, I wish I had his disease. I wish I was as mad as him. So it's true devotees who understand why, true devotees understand true devotees. Vidura understands Maitreya Muni understands Vidura. And there is that, importance of the Guru Shishya, all of that. So through these talks of Vidura and Maitreya Muni, we are being taught about so much, not just about, hearing about Krishna, but also, again, we are reminded again and again the importance of Guru and Shishya. So we see in Mahaprabhu, we see Lord Rama, but Vishwamitra Muni had to come and take him away from Ayodhya. Vishwamitra Muni had to be his guru because Lord Rama had come for a mission. Krishna and Balaram, they were Krishna, the Lord themselves. The Lord Krishna had incarnated. This is Krishna. He came as the avatari, not as the avatar, not as incarnations. When he came in Dwapar Yuga, Krishna came as the avatari. Mahaprabhu came as the avatari. Avatari is from whom all the other incarnations come. And yet they themselves took gurus. Krishna and Balaram, they took Sandipani Muni as the gurus. And it's said that, Krishna learned all the 64 colors, the 64 types of art in 64 days from his guru, for Sandipani Muni in the city of Ujjain. And that is detailed in, Srimad Bhagavatam. And, whereas a normal person would take, just to learn one of those arts, one color, a normal person would take years, Krishna learned those 64 colors in 64 days. I mean, obviously, Sandipani Muni, he was a great elevated devotee. He knew he was the Lord himself, that Krishna was the Lord. But Sandipani Muni, he understood the role of a guru. And so he took up the role of the guru seriously, because he knew Krishna needed the guru, because Krishna also was teaching us. So whether it was singing, or some of the colors are singing, playing musical instruments, painting, crafting, cooking, carpentry, engineering, archery, understanding the Vedas, many. Even Lord Dattatreya, we'll hear about that later on. And Lord Dattatreya, he was, he was going around in the forest, very, very happy, and where he met King Yadu. And he saw Dattatreya that, King Yadu, he said, this is King Yadu was suffering at the time, and this is in this world of Maya. And he saw Dattatreya so happy, and he said, how is it you're so happy in this material world? And Dattatreya said that, the secret of his happiness is his guru. And who are his gurus? He had 24 gurus. 24 gurus. He learned from everybody, whether it was earth, water, air, fire, sky, moon, the sun, the pigeon, a python, an ocean, a moth, a bee, a honey gardener, elephant, deer, a fish, a dancing girl, a raven, even a child, even a maiden, even a serpent, an arrow maker, even a spider, and even a beetle. So these are the 24 gurus that Dattatreya had. So, and he learned whether it was patience, the quality of purity, the quality of selflessness, or no anger, no greed, the quality of, gaining knowledge, to do tapas, to learn about the Vedas, to learn about people, to give light to others. He learned everything from these gurus. So the importance of guru is once again mentioned over here in the verse we read, by knowing that, Vidura is really asking Maitreya Muni not as a friend, not as a, another great devotee, that, yes, please tell me about Krishna, not as the similar well-wisher of Krishna and the Yadus, but Vidura is asking, or rather requesting, these things to Maitreya Muni as a disciple, despite him being a very, very great devotee himself. So that was the third point. That was the other point that was touched upon. And the last point that was touched upon in this verse was about the cow. And Prabhupada mentions how the Lord incarnates to protect the twice born, the Brahmanas, and also the cows. And obviously comes, we hear in the Bhagavad Gita, Paritranaya Sadhuna Vinashaya Chadushkritam, and Dharma Samsthapanarthaya Sambhavami Yige, to establish Dharma. But he to destroy the demons. He could have destroyed the demons just by willing. Just by willing, he created the entire creation, just by willing in his mind. So he didn't need to come in incarnations after incarnations to kill the demons, but he comes for his devotees, to save the sadhus, to save his devotees, but he could have saved his devotees even from Golok Vrindavan. But he wants to come, and he wants to come and engage in that exchange of rasa with his devotees. That is what pleases the Lord. That is why he created this entire creation. Otherwise, the Lord is Atmarama. The Lord is happy in himself. but he hankers for this exchange of love between him and his devotees in the various rasas, what we were discussing earlier. And one of his greatest devotees is the cow. And the purport mentions that the cow is the most important animal for developing the human body to perfection. The body can be maintained by any kind of food, but the cow's milk is particularly essential for developing the finer tissues of the human brain. And just so that one understand, why do we need to develop these finer tissues of the human brain? Just so that one can understand the intricacies of transcendental knowledge. And the cow's milk, we hear about how the cow's milk, if it's pure milk, we hear, in some places, the cow is still, being raised and looked after in the ahimsa way. But otherwise, cows are nowadays, they are fed with so many chemicals and, medicines. So we don't even the organic milk that we get in the market, we don't even know if that is pure milk or not. But a pure milk of a cow that is able to cure every single thing, every disease. It's the perfect food to keep a man completely healthy. And similarly, the bull, the purport mentions, helps in the agricultural process of producing grain. And so the bull, whereas the cow is the mother, we say Gau Mata, the bull is the father of humankind. The cow supplies milk and the bull does the work and, helps in the agricultural process. So that is very, very, very important. And we see that, we talk about Namo Brahmanaya Devaya Gro Brahmana Hitaya Cha Jagatitaya Krishna Namo. So that is the we say that prayer all the time. Where we offer our humble obeisances to the well-wisher of the cows, the Brahmana and the Brahmanas who are the twice born. The highest planet is Goloka. What is Go? Go is nothing but cow, the planet of cows. So only by the combination of both the Brahmanas and the cows can, any sacrifice, proper sacrifice can be possible, because, you need that pure milk, that pure ghee that comes from the cow. And Shriman in Sri Krishna, just how many times, as soon as Krishna appears, in the jail, in Kamsa's jail, his father Vasudeva, he decides in his mind, he decides to give 10,000 excellent cows in charity. And then when Krishna reached Nanda Maharaj's house, Nanda Maharaj, gave hundreds and thousands of cows in charity to celebrate Krishna's birth. So when Krishna was brought down from Putana's chest, he was bathed with cow urine and a tilak of cow dung was applied. Krishna's body was cleaned with the tail of a cow, and the dust of cows was applied to his body to keep him safe. And so all of this is to glorify the cow, to do, how we should do savor to the cows. And so, we see how Krishna, when he first wanted to take the cows out to herd the cows, he wouldn't go out. Mother Yashoda wanted him to wear shoes and take an umbrella. And Krishna wanted shoes for all those thousands of cows. So Mother Yashoda got angry and she gave up. I mean, obviously, she can't have shoes for all those cows, thousands of cows. Neither could she have umbrellas for those thousands of cows. So she allowed Krishna to go barefoot. She allowed Krishna to go out in that dust and sun because she gave up. She said, I can't do this. But that is how much Krishna loves the cows. And we are told throughout the Bhagavatam about that. And so we see the calves would come near the Lord and they would smell him. and getting that divine fragrance from the Lord, the calves would just jump in ecstasy and start dancing. And as the calves would dance, Krishna would play his flute and Krishna would dance as well. And Bilva Mangal Thakur, the great devotee Bilva Mangal Thakur, in his book Krishna Karnamrita says that, "Oh Lord, you joyfully move around in the mud of Vrindavan, made up of cow urine, cow dung, and the dust from the cow's feet. But you are hesitant to go to the yagna of the Brahmanas." Remember, the Brahmanas were in, when we read Krishna book, the Brahmanas were doing a yagna. Krishna didn't want to go there because the Brahmanas, they had that pride in them. Krishna was happy to talk to the wives of the Brahmanas, but he was hesitant to go to the Brahmanas. And that is what Bilva Mangal Thakur is saying, that, you are happy to roll around in cow urine, cow dust, and yet you don't want to go to a clean place of yagna that the Brahmanas prepare for you. And that is because we come to the same point again. Krishna sees the love, the bhakti. That is all that Krishna wants from us. He doesn't want anything else from us. All of this, hearing about Krishna, knowing about why he comes in as his avatars. The first thing this verse talks about is the avatars, how Krishna comes in various avatars. When the avatars come, they don't take birth. They don't take, sometimes we say, yes, Mother Devaki gave birth to Krishna. But Krishna was not impregnated in Mother Devaki's womb the same way as a material any other jiva is. That's not how, these mothers are impregnated, whether it is Sachimata, whether it is Sachimata. She actually took a tulsi leaf that was flowing from Advaita Acharya. Advaita Acharya was praying for the Lord to come down. And one day, as he put the tulsi leaf in the Ganges, it went against the flow of the river to where Sachimata was actually bathing, and it touched the womb, the womb, or not the womb, the stomach, the tummy of Sachimata. And Advaita Acharya knew that the Lord is coming. We see how Krishna, he comes to the heart of the Father, we are told. He comes in the heart of the Father. And then from the heart of the Father, he transfers to the heart of the Mother. And then from the heart of the Mother, he transfers to the womb of the Mother, whether it's Mother Devaki or whether it is, Sachimata, whether it is, we see Lord Rama, he was born from a yagna. He was given, the prasad from the yagna was given to the 3 queens of Dasharath, and that's how the Lord was born. So we are talked about these avatars, the incarnations. Vidura knew about that. Vidura, knew how the Lord, these are not simple births. These are special types of birth, and the Lord goes out of his way to come to this material world over and over again, giving the pleasure to his devotees. If he's born sometimes like Kurma avatar, Matsya avatar, Hamsa avatar, there's no mother and father. But as Lord Ram, as Mahaprabhu, as Krishna himself, we see mother and father. So Krishna gives pleasure to his devotees in many ways. So when he appears in the human form, he wants to have that rasa of mother and, having that relationship of a mother and father with 2 others, with the jivas, with his pure devotees. And so he incarnates. And so in this verse, Maitreya, Vidura requests to Maitreya again, tell me more, O great sage, tell me more about these pastimes. Tell me more about these incarnations of the Lord, as one would ask his gurus. Why? Because he wants to relish more and more and get pleasure more and more from hearing about this, because the hearing and saying about Krishna Katha would increase the pleasure and devotion and bhakti of both of them. And that is why we see why Vidura is asking this to Maitri Muni again over here. So with that, I complete our discussion today. Apologies if I've made any mistakes. Please do correct me if I've gone wrong. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Matajis and Prabhujis. If there are any comments, questions, happy to answer.
And hello, Hare Krishna. Yeah, you can hear me. You
Yes,
can.
Mataji,
Okay.
yes, Mataji.
It just shows my connection is very weak over here. That's why. Okay. So thank you very much, Mataji, for today's session and going through listening. The most important of the first step to know Krishna starts with the listening. So I think if there are any questions or comments, we can take that. Viren Prabhu, maybe you have a question or a comment.
I just
Hare
was
Krishna.
wondering. Thank you for the wonderful presentation, Mataji. I just wondering where is the pastime mentioned that the Tulsi leaf goes upwards? I mean, where is the
Okay. Yes, Prabhuji, it's in either Chaitanya Charitamrita or Chaitanya Bhagavat. I'll get you the reference. I'll post it with the verse number.
this is the first time I heard that. That's why I
Yes.
just asked.
I'll give you the reference, Prabhuji.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for that question. Any other question or comment from the group? If there are no questions or comments from the group, we can end the session because we are over our time today. Eastern Prabhu, Hare Krishna, are you able to end the session for today and thank Mataji for this lovely presentation? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Yeah, I'm able to end the session. I would like to thank Her Grace Panchali Kar Mataji for the lovely class. I've learned a lot today about the pastimes and how Krishna takes his birth in the material platform. And yeah, I would also like to thank everybody for joining the classes. And I will humbly request each and every one of us to kindly unmute their mic and chant a round of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra in the glorification of Her Grace Panchali Kar Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama, Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Rama
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Hare
Rama,
Hare.
Hare Hare. Vancha
Vanchakanta
kalpatarubhyascha,
Yascha Kripa
Sindhu
Sandhu
Evacha,
Devacha
Patitanam
Dana
Pavanebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo Namo
Vaishnavebhyo
Namaha.
Srila Prabhupada
Ki
Jai.
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 Grace
Grace
Panchali Kar
Panchali Kar
Mataji
Mataji
ki
Ki
jai.
Jai.
All glories to
Grantraj
the
Srimad
Lord.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Bhagavatam ki jai.
Krishna.
Jai.
Jai.
Thank you
All
so
glories
much,
to
everybody,
the
for joining.
devotees. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Matajis and Prabhujis. Hare Krishna.